American Refugee, 2021. I had to change from watching Now TV, where I've been streaming films from recently, and instead watched a film on Channel 4 or Film 4. This seemed quite interesting as a subject. I thought actually the refugee would mean they would be fleeing to a different country, but actually it seems to be in the same state, and it's simply a family fleeing their own home, but moving in with another home, and the tensions that creates. And it is post-apocalyptic. It's very there's a lot of threat in the film, but it's also, I thought it was fascinating anyway. So what it is Erica Alexander plays Helen Taylor, and Derek Luke plays Greg Taylor, her husband. And Greg has been recently um, um, cheating on her, and she's let him back, but she's a bit concerned about him. She's very careful what she thinks, but she's really um, intelligent and empathetic. She's the kind of person that um, I only wish there were more of in. Especially in America. I mean, there are some in America. There's some lovely people in America, but there's a lot of awful stuff happening this last week. Oh my gosh. Well, this last 7.5 months. But what can I say? This film is about America in a worse state, which of course it can get into, and that's because there's been an economic collapse that makes what happened in 2007, 2008 seem like a picnic. I mean, that's almost mentioned at one point when one particular firm collapses, and it's a lot bigger than anything that happened in the late noughties. I mean, because it affects so many people's pensions, and suddenly everyone is plunged in a state of peril. And I really felt it. And I was just thinking, I was thinking back to a film I saw early last year um, about a flood in the UK. And this feels, huge amount of rain, and it shows the vulnerability. Um, I'll put a link to it, I think, in the comments, that particular film. I want to get the title right. I'm not saying it now. Um, but the this particular film shows the vulnerability we all have wherever we are to economic collapse, and we can't really take for granted um, how um, our current normal life as such can be thrown into disarray. And that's exactly what happens with Helen and Greg and their family. They've got um, they've got a daughter, um, a teenage daughter, a slightly younger son who may have autism, or maybe select mutism. He certainly doesn't want to talk. I mean, he might be able to talk. I think that's what someone says in the middle part of the film. But they so um, there's the one thing is Helen has a huge amount of empathy. She's really intelligent. She's the kind of person um, that people trust because she's grocery shopping. She's out in the local store when she meets Amber, who is played by Jessie Case, who is in distress, and she offers to help her. She's Amber's pregnant. Um, Now Helen's still nursing her latest very young baby, and she's aubergine. I've seen that. Yeah, she helps with maternity, so she knows what she's talking about. She's a doctor who knows her stuff, and she gives Amber advice in the store, um, and then at home, she's back home. She meets up with her sister Brooke, who and they talk about Greg being back in the home and stuff like that. And Brooke seems a live wire, but also I think quite likable. But the economic strife lands in their town, and it becomes very threatening. And there's home invasions, and there's armed people on the streets, and it gets really scary. Um, and um, One thing is, Greg and Helen are curious about their neighbour, um, who have electrified their fence, and they want to find out more. Um, and they get to find out more because this teenager, I think still quite a young man, turns up on their doorstep, Matty, played by Vince Mattis, and he said, um, "Please can Helen come and help Amber?" And he's very instructive that Greg doesn't come along, but Greg insists on coming along, quite wisely, as it turns out. But I mean, this is the whole thing. There's a lot of cis straight um, heteronormative stuff. I mean, oh gosh, coming up the whole thing with when they meet Winter, who is um, played by Sam Tremmell. Uh, he didn't seem that threatening, but he seems to have a strong siege mentality, and he's um, he's effectively, I think, I would say, a prepper, as Kai finds out early on. Kai being the um, son, Helen and Greg's son. Oh, and I don't think I'll say too much more because of fear of giving away spoilers, but it becomes a, a case of there are battles going on. They they They're home invasions, and they have to protect themselves. And Greg and Helen have to think on their feet, and their kids. Like there's Zoe, their daughters, Zamori Wilder, um, and they've got a baby, this a young baby, but also Amber, um, Matty, and Winter. They at one point it feels like they form quite a good teamwork. Dealing with all of the problems that arise, like people turning up to raid your place. And then that's it. As It's pretty scary, the thought that it could happen. A post-apocalyptic situation could happen as easily as through a more severe economic downturn than what happened in 2007, 2008, when there was this huge crash, and the banks got bailed out. But if that hadn't happened, who knows? Maybe we'd have experienced it then. we've seen what happened with COVID. So um, there's a lot of food for thought, and thinking about how you deal with a situation like that, um, and dealing with it with the kind of empathy, but also protection that Helen has is, and Greg, to be fair as well, um, is really good. I found it really interesting film. I'm going to score it 8.5 out of 10. I'd love to know what you think about it. Please leave your comments. Please like if you like this review. Um, Thanks if you subscribe, and please hit the notification button. And I hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.